Sandy here from Create with Scrimpingmommy. Thank you so much for joining me. Now, what you're going to need for this video, first off, straight off the bat, go and grab a piece of paper and a pencil, okay? Because I'm going to give you all of the measurements for this project in this video. So off you go. Go grab a pencil. I'll wait for you. Are you back? So I made this lovely journal cover. I make a different one every month, and this is really simple. It's using just cardstock. I use 200 GSM cardstock. You can use whatever weight you want, okay? 200 is, I find, just about the right. Don't use cardstock that's too heavy, or you're going to have problems on the spine part because it'll be too thick and bulky. Okay, so 200 GSM or thereabouts. So we've got a wrapped around spine cover journal here. We've got a pocket here. We've got a pocket here. When we open, we've got a pocket here with a large journaling card or photo mat. This is magnetised, and we've got another large pocket here which holds another of the large photo mats or journaling cards. You can add a pocket here. I just used a journaling card from my collection, so there's no measurement for that. Okay, then that magnetises, and that all holds in. Then on the back cover, we've got a simple stacked pocket, okay. And then on the very back cover, we've got this lovely deep pocket here, but the measurements are made so that it fits within the parameters of the cover and the wrapped around spine. So it's lovely. And if you use the right papers, like I have, you'll have a lovely focal point. Whether you use my papers or any others, you're welcome to follow along. I'm going to give you all of the measurements, so pay close attention, but none of the elements are difficult, okay? None of them are difficult, and it's designed to give strength to the journal cover. All right, save as cutting chipboard or wrapping it or whatever. So the first thing you want to bear in mind is all of my journals are made in A4 size because I'm from the UK. So the height of my journals are always 8.5 and always 6 wide. Okay. So if you're a US letter size, you can very easily resize it because all of the pieces are basic. Very easily resize it. Once you've resized the spine and the cover, everything else, you can just measure it and resize it. Okay. So we're starting with, this is 200 GSM cardstock, 7 inches by 8.5. Then we're going to score it in the middle at 3.5 inches. Okay. Then we're going to give that a really good burnish. So you're going to grab a scoreboard. If you don't have a scoreboard, you can use a pencil and a ruler, make lines, and then use something with a dull edge to score your lines. It breaks up the fibres and makes your folding easier and more accurate. Okay, it does make a difference. Then we're going to score for along the what is now a 3.5 inch side. We're going to score along there at 1 inches, and we're going to really press on because we want it to imprint on both sides of the card. Then for ease, flip the whole thing around and score again at 1 inches. Make sure you have imprinted on both sides, okay? But you want to do that scoring with that piece closed, okay? So I would then start and make those creases before you've done any kind of sticking or gluing, so that you've got those defined. And what you may find is, if you can just see here, you're going to have a tiny like what looks like discrepancy when you fold there. The bottom piece of cardstock is just going to look slightly longer than that. Don't worry about it, because by the time it's all glued and it's on your project, it's going to line back up. So don't see that discrepancy when that's folded flat when you're burnishing and think you need to trim it off, okay? Then what you want to do is you want to glue those two sides together. However you do it, whether you use tape or whether you use glue. I do prefer to use glue, okay? So I'm going to add lots of evenly spaced glue there. So you want lots on, but you don't want big, pools of it. Okay. Make sure it's all the way around the edges. Okay, then fold it in half, and you want to burnish that glue so that it's spread out and it's right up to the edges. If you push inwards like that with your glue, it shouldn't splodge out all over the place if you've been a bit heavy-handed. Okay, so push inwards, but make sure you burnish all that glue down. It's really important that this piece is flat, it's not bubbled, and it's nice and flat. Okay, give it a really, really good burnish to spread out all of that glue. Okay, redefine these bits, but don't mess with it too much until your glue is dry. You'll know if you've got it down nicely, because when you lift it up you won't have any gaps showing. Okay, I'm just going to give that an extra squeeze. Okay, then you really want to leave that to dry. Okay, once it's dry, make sure that those folds are nice and crisp. Okay, I don't have time to leave it to dry. So then you want to just add your front and back cover. All right, and mine measure 6 by 8.5. I think I've done them 6. Let me just double check, make sure I'm not lying. Yeah, 6 by 8.5. So then all you want to do is you want to add glue or tape on the inside of that wing. Okay, on the inside. So you want plenty on, but you want it even, again, not big splodges, and you don't want to go right up to the score line. You don't want it splodging out and looking unsightly. Okay, so put it on and then like move your nozzle backwards and forwards to help spread it out. That's what I do. Okay, then you get one piece. This is the front. I'm just turning it this way to help me, and you want it lined up flush top and bottom exactly. Okay, because it's the same size. Okay, and you want it up to the score line but not on it. You want, you know, a hair width away. That's not even a measurement. It might be, if you wanted that to be a measurement, I'd say 1/16 of an inch. Okay, and press, and then do the same with the back piece. Okay, now you should be able to get them on straight because they are essentially the same size as the spine, so you're lining up top and bottom here. Okay, so you shouldn't have a problem. And again, you want to go in with about a 1/16 of an inch gap. It's a hair width, okay? It's minimal, a minimal gap, but what it'll do is it stop your covers encroaching on that score line, okay? You don't want it right up to the score line. You want it just a hair away. Okay, let me just move it a little bit closer. Make sure I'm even top and bottom, okay? And you can just lift and make sure that they're fairly even, but they should be because you're lining it up with your spine. Okay, all right, then make sure that that is fully dry before you start trying to fold this. Okay, once it's fully dry, then you can go and you can reinforce that fold. Okay, I'm not waiting for mine to dry because I'm filming, and this isn't just a sample. So it's a kind of a do as I say, not as I do kind of a moment. Okay, I've already done mine. This is a sample. This probably won't get used, but okay. So there is your journal cover. Now you might be thinking, well, that's not very sturdy. Trust me, trust the process. I designed the rest of it to strengthen that cover. Then when you've also layered with patterned paper as well, you're going to end up with a thicker journal cover than you would if it was chipboard. Okay, it's going to be even thicker and sturdier. Okay, all right. And I would advise cutting your pieces if you've got 12 by 12. If you've only got A4 or letter size, you're going to have slightly more waste. Okay, I will say that. But I get mine so cheap that it really doesn't matter, and any wastage I will use for embellishments. I'll make tags out of them, etc. Okay, so we're going to start with the front. So on the front we've got a long side pocket and then a small pocket that goes on the top. So the first pocket measures 9.5. Okay, again, if you're a US letter size user, you want to measure what size your covers are. Okay, you want that same measurement plus an inch, which is 1/2 inch to fold over at the top and 1/2 inch to fold over at the bottom. If you want to adjust the width, remember I've got 1/2 inch extra all the way around at folding over tabs. So mine measures 9.5 in height by 4.5 in width. Okay, so I've already done my scoring. So what you want to do is on the 4.5, along the 4.5 inch length, you want to score, well, I'd have it that way, 1/2 inch. Okay, and then along the 9.5 inch length, you're scoring at 1/2 inch each side. So you're essentially scoring at 1/2 inch on 3 sides. Okay, we're going to fold and burnish those score lines. Add your tape, which I have already done. Okay, take your time. I will be doing mine super fast. Burnishing is really important, especially when you're doing stacked pockets, because you want them to sit flat. Okay, so then what we're going to do is I always turn it over so I can see that X without the tape, and it's easier. Where those score lines intersect, you've got an X. We're cutting right across the middle of the X at an angle. Okay, right across the X in the middle at an angle. Okay, now I've said that once. I'm not going to say it on all of them. I'm just going to call it mitering. Okay, we're mitering. Okay, and then you fold those over and you make sure they don't overlap. Mine don't. I've done those quite neatly. Okay, if they overlap, trim a little bit off, but don't cut over those score lines. Okay, that will make your pocket sit neater. If they're overlapping, you will have bulk and your pocket won't sit flat. Okay, so now what we can do is we can remove the tape. I'm just going to remove, so we're going to have our pocket with the opening to the left. So I'm just going to remove the bottom tape for now. Because I'm using tape and I don't want to make a mess of it, I'm just removing the bottom tape so that all of this doesn't get stuck everywhere. And I'm lining this corner and this bottom with the corner and bottom and side of the journal cover so it is flush. Okay. Right, so that is flush with the bottom and the side. So now I can lift that back and I can remove the rest of my tape. And that will just fold up and it will just follow neatly. Okay, so you've already got your pocket. Then we're going to layer a pocket on the top of here. So this measures the width. If you're doing US and you're having to resize it, you want the width of your of that pocket there, which is 4. Okay, or if you've made it 4.5, and add an inch, 1/2 inch each side to fold under. And you want 1/2 inch at the bottom. So mine measures 5 by 4.5. 5. Yeah. 5 on the width, 4.5 on the height. Okay. So then you want to score 1/2 inch on 3 sides again to make a pocket. Okay. So there's the 5 inch. I sometimes write arrows so that I know which way up it is. So that's the height. So along the 5 inch side, we're scoring at 1/2 inch and then 4.5, or turn it round and do another 1/2. And then along the 4.5 inch side, we're scoring at 1/2 inch on one side. Okay, super simple. Okay, fold and burnish. Okay, so in case you've missed any of those measurements, okay, the front and the back cover, 8.5 by 6. The spine piece was 7 by 8.5. Score in the middle at 3.5. Then score each side at 1. This front pocket here, 9.5 by 4.5. Scoring 1/2 inch on 3 sides. On 2 short sides and 1 long side. This, I've forgotten already. 5, yeah, by 4.5. Scoring on 3 sides at 1/2 inch. Okay, right, so again we're mitering across the X. Checking, perfect. burnish, getting my terms mixed up there, mitering. Remove your tape, or I do actually prefer glue, okay? I'm using tape for quickness for the video, all right? I would always say use glue where you can. And then this is going to go flush inside that pocket with the bottom, with the side, and with the edge of the pocket. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to line this far corner up first. That's the easiest way to do it. If you get those corners meeting, and then that bottom line straight there, then the rest should follow quite easily. Okay, so now you've got your pocket there and your pocket there. And what I did for extra interest was I added a journal card, I glued a journal card on this pocket halfway so that it extends. Okay, so now we're going to work on the inside cover. All right, that's the pocket, that's the flap. Let's go in there, I think. Let me just check. Can't even remember. Yeah. Okay. Inside flap, inside front cover pocket, inside flap pocket. Right, okay. So here we've got the flap, inside flap. So this measures, it will be 8.5 because we've no scoring top and bottom. 8.5 by 4.5. Okay, and we're scoring down one long side at 1/2 inch. Okay, now where you've got your score, that's called a bump, a dent, sorry. Okay, because it's dented the paper, and the back is a bump. Your glue or your tape wants to go on the back of here. Okay, and this 1/2 inch here is going to attach to the edge of your cover on the inside. So fold and burnish. Okay, and it's going to attach right flush against that edge there. Okay, flush top and bottom, and flush right up to the edge, and then when it's stuck down it will open like so. Okay, let me give you that measurement again. It was 8.5, which is the height of my journal. If your journal's different, adjust that size, by 4.5. Okay. So again, we're going to line up the very bottom corner first, okay? And then the rest should follow neatly. Okay, so now we've got a flap. So you can see already, okay, from our just piece of cardstock, we've layered on with a pocket there, we've layered on with a pocket there, and we've got a flap there. We're ending up with, you know, a nice sturdy journal cover without having to use chipboard and wrap it. And this is just a quicker way of doing it, okay? And then also you're going to have your paper layers on both sides as well. So that 200 GSM cardstock, you're going to put 120 GSM on one side, 120 GSM on another. It's going to end up very sturdy, okay? Even if you use lighter weights than me, it's going to end up sturdy because we're adding weight by layering. And that's how these type of journal covers get the sturdiness. Trust me, trust the process. Then we've got a inside flap pocket. So this is going to go on top of the flap with the flap closed, okay? And this measures again 9.5, and it measures 4, okay? And we've scored again 1/2 inch on the both two short edges and 1/2 inch on one of the long edges, okay? It's so easy because the basic shapes. So 9.5 by 4, scoring on 3 sides at 1/2 inch. Whenever I do flaps that need to be attached, they're always 1/2 inch. Unless I'm really struggling, you know, with a piece of cardstock and I'm running out of space and I'm running out of cardstock, I will do 1/4 inch. But I advise 1/2 inch. Okay, so now we've burnished those. Again, we're going to miter across the X. Miter across the X. I'm always checking. Even though I do it loads of times, I still always check my work because you want it to sit flat. Burnishing is super important because that will help it sit flat. Okay, so again, I'm just going to take one bottom piece. Is that the bottom? No, that's the top. Bottom piece of tape off so that I'm not getting in a big sticky mess. And again, this corner here is going to go flush with this corner here. So start with the corner, okay, and get that nice and straight. And then follow along the bottom edge so that's lined up, okay. Then I'm going to remove my tape here. Make sure I'm in shot, okay, and that should just line up perfectly, okay. So there you've got your flap with, which is like a half page with a pocket, okay. So just give that a burnish, okay. Then we've got the inside front cover pockets. This is going to go, this is your front cover. It's going to go with this flap open. It's going to go on the inside close to the spine. This measures, again, the height of the journal plus an inch, half an inch each side. So mine measures 9.5 by 4 1/4. Now I've made that measurement specifically, okay, the 4 1/4, because, and now if you are a letter user and you've done your cover different to mine, check the sizing of this and work it out. Because, let me just fold and burnish and I'll explain. We want this flap to overlap onto here ever so slightly. By about, how much does mine overlap? Because we're magnetising it, okay? So mine overlaps 1 1/4 inches. So this pocket, you need to make sure, okay, that when this is closed, it's going to overlap by 1 1/4 inches. Can you see how that's overlapping there? That gives us room for the magnet. Now, I'm over explaining this in case you need to resize and you don't want to follow my sizes. You need to make sure there's room for your magnet. If you're a A4 size user, just follow my sizing and it will work. So we're folding and burnishing again. But very boring, but it's super important. It's so important to take time over your burnishing, okay, because you want it neat. Okay, we're mitering again across the X's because it's a pocket. It's always the same process. And I'm always checking my work. I'm never thinking, oh, that'll be all right. I've been doing it ages. You know, I don't need to check. I always check my work. Right, so this is going to go here. Okay, so I'm going to remove just the bottom tape. If you're gluing, you're fine. You've got wiggle room. Now, what you want to do here, and this is super important, you want to look where your actual front piece is, and you'll be able to see the edge of it. And it will be different from where you've added the spine. You'll see where it finishes. And that's where you're lining up. You're lining up with that original front cover, not up to the edge of the spine where it folds. Okay, so I'm looking for where my original front cover piece was, and I'm lining this up with the corner of that and then with the bottom. Okay, that way you can be sure that it lines up nicely with your piece, and because you've already left a bit of a gap, okay, then when that pocket, when the foot when the cover closes, you're not encroaching on that score line or your book won't shut. Sometimes my brain is working faster than my mouth, and so then it comes out like gobbledygook. Super important that this is not right up against that spine, which is why I'm saying follow the line of the cover piece. Okay, there we go. Now, I've magnetised mine, so what you want to do is you want to add your magnets. Now, I advise that when you're placing magnets, you don't place them too close to the edge here, okay? let me show you. If you was to place a magnet right here, okay, then you're going to have difficulty sticking your paper down. It's not going to want to stick nicely. So you want to have a really good look, and this is where, you know, you need to do your own judgment. So my cover's closing there, okay. I'm going to leave a mark there, and that tells me how much overlap I've got, okay. So I can put my magnet in the middle of there, okay. So that overlap is slightly larger than my original one for some reason, but it doesn't matter. My overlap there is about 1 3/4, okay. So I'd probably go at about 1 inches, okay, 1 inches. So find your middle, find 1 inch in, and your magnet wants to go about there. Let me just check. Yeah, about there, okay. Because if you look, that's not going to, you also don't want your magnet to be right on the edge of here either, okay, for the same reason, because when you're layering your paper down, you want your paper to be attached here. If you've got this magnet too close to here, you're going to have a gap when you put your paper down, okay. And another tip, whenever I'm using a magnet, I always, when I'm layering over my paper, I always put tape on the edge of that paper. Let me show you. I'm just trying to give you really good hints and tips. So see here, okay, where the magnet is, where the edge of that paper layer is that I stuck down here, I've put tape, skinny tape, right on the edge, okay, because paper doesn't always want to stick to magnets, okay. I don't want to push down so hard on my paper that I can see the magnet through it. So if I put tape right up against the edge of that paper layer, then that will close that down. I won't have a gap. Trust me. Trust the process. So then you'd add your magnet there. Add some tape over the top, okay? Then put your second magnet on the top, and what I do is I will scribble over the top of my second magnet with a Sharpie, yeah, and then I'll press that down, and I will have an imprint there. It might only be faint, but it'll be there, an imprint of black Sharpie, and that will tell me where to put my second magnet. Make sure it's the right way around, that you've got the polar opposites or the polar attracts, whatever. Add your tape. You're done, okay. So now we're on to the back pocket. Okay, if you want the measurements of the journaling cards, I'll show you what mine are for my pockets. What have I done with it? It's here. So mine measure 11.5. 11.5 by 8.25. Folded them in half. Okay. Right, back cover. So we're on the back cover now. So you've got a bottom pocket and a top pocket. That's, something's not right there. Hold on a minute, that's not right. Back cover, inside bottom pocket. That's not right. One moment, I've cut one of my pieces wrong. We're back. I must have had a stupid moment and I've cut one of my pockets far too large. So these are going to be your stacked pockets, okay? So both of them measure 3.5 by 6 7/8. So you just want two the same, okay? So this is a very precise measurement though. 3.5 by 6 7/8, okay? So my journal cover is 6 inches. I want my pocket ever so slightly smaller, okay? Ever so slightly smaller. Because I don't want it to encroach here, and so I've done it so that when it's finished, it's 5 7/8, so it's just ever so slightly smaller than my cover. That's for if you're resizing, okay? Then obviously you add your 1/2 inch each side, okay? I've got to bear in mind for my US letter or letter size users, not everybody who uses letter size paper is in the US, but that's the most common. I've got to explain things so that they can follow as well, because a lot of my members are letter size users. A lot of them. Not everybody uses A4. Okay. But I don't have letter size cardstock to start making 2 samples, so you just have to bear with me. I mean, I could cut it, but it would be wasteful because then it would be no good to me because my journals wouldn't be the, you know, my pages wouldn't be the right size. So we've mitered across the X again, making sure they don't overlap again, always checking, always burnishing. So always, you know, the preparation is key. The preparation is often the boring part, but it's so important. Okay. So remove your tape. And the placement of this is very important. Okay. So you've got your back cover again. We're looking for the actual cover piece, not the spine piece. Pretend that's not there. This wants to be centralised. It wants to be flush with the bottom and in the centre because I've cut it ever so slightly smaller. So it's not going flush right. Could we do it flush up against there? No, we couldn't. Otherwise there'd be a gap, an odd looking gap. You want to centralise it. So you've got a hair width either side. A hair width. Okay. And you want it flush with the bottom. And when I say a hair width, it is a hair width. You're not going to notice it once your pattern paper's in there. Okay. So that's the first one. Now the second one, we're going to just do slightly different with the cutting. So where you've done your folding and burnishing, on the short side, we are going to notch. Now, a notch is less severe than a mitre, okay? We're notching. We're not going right across the X. And then on here, we're going to do a severe notch. So very slanted, very severe, up to the point, okay? So you've got, the point is where the two crosses meet. There's your point here. Okay, so on the short side, we're doing a sliver of a notch, okay? And then on here, we're doing a severe, quite a severe angled one. Okay, so it's far deeper than a normal. So you've got that sort of shape. And then just at the top here, I'm just going to do a gentle sliver notch. Just a very, very gentle. Okay, just to make sure it doesn't peek out. And I've added tape there and I didn't need to. So I'm just going to leave that on. Don't need any tape on there. So then we're going to remove this, remove that, and although we've done the score line there, we don't need to fold that bit and we don't need tape on. Okay, that is your guideline, because fold that back, you're going to slip that in, make sure that that piece there is over the top of where those folds are. You need to double check that, because if you accidentally slip underneath them, it's going to be a nightmare. So make sure you're over to the top of those flaps. And where that score line is and where you've done that notching, I mean, you might think this is over explaining it, Amanda, but I like to make sure people know why we do things. You're going to come to a natural stop. You're not going to be able to push it in any further. And also that score line will help you make sure that that pocket is straight. Okay. And there you've got a perfect stacked pocket, and if you do it that way every time, you'll have a perfect, and that runs all the way down, and then that runs all the way down. If you do it that way, you'll have a perfect stacked pocket that lines up neatly every single time. And it's really important, especially if you want to do like I've done, where you have the image running. You want those lining up, okay? So that's that bit. So now we're on to the back cover, okay? And the back cover is, I've measured it 8 1/4 in height, because I don't want it the full height of my journal, okay? I don't want it the full height. And I've measured it 6 inches across. We're scoring on 3 sides, 2 long sides, 1 short side at 1/2 inch. Okay, let me just move this out of the way. Folding, burnishing. You'll be sick of hearing me say it. But if, you know, when you're doing yours, just remember Amanda's annoying voice in the background going, burnish, burnish, burnish. Because it is absolutely key to getting your parts down neatly and having a nice finished product. We're mitering across the X. We're checking, because we're always checking that our work is decent. That's not overlapping too much. I can live with that. If it's a slight click, it's fine. You just don't want them sitting on top of each other. Now at this point, if you want, you can shape that. Okay. You might find it easier to layer this with your paper layer if you're doing a shape. Okay. Because it's just, it can be easier. I shaped mine with a notch, if you can see there. Okay. All right. If you want to notch it, I'll put something in. I'd do it now. I'm going to take just the bottom tape off. Okay, I'm going to find my back cover. I'm making sure and I'm double checking and triple checking that I've got it the right way up, because I don't want to stick my pocket on here the wrong way. So these are my pockets. So that is definitely the right way. Okay. Now this is measured between the outer edge of the cover and where that spine is wrapped over. Okay, so it's shorter. It's not designed to layer over the spine. It's designed to sit in, you know, within it. So you're going for this far corner here and you're lining that up. Okay, and that should just sit just within where that spine finishes. Okay, could probably do with shifting mine over ever so slightly, but it's fine. Okay, so it's not going over the top of where that spine is wrapped around. Let me show you with the patterned paper so you can see. There's the spine, there's the pocket. It's sitting in between the spine and the outer edge, okay? So that you've got this lovely patterned border there of the wrapped around spine, okay? Where am I? Back to here. Right, so now I can remove this, remove this, and that is my cover completed. All I have to do then is my matting and layering, which will add extra strength. Now when it comes to adding the signatures, it is up to you. You could, with a very, very sharp needle, you could sew your signatures in, okay? I wouldn't advise it. I've used the eyelet method. So when you're doing the eyelets, let me show you. You find the centre part of your spine. Okay, this spine in here measures 1.5 inches. So, in fact, the easiest way to do it is measuring from the outer edge at 1/2 inch. And then from that outer edge at 1/2 inch. Okay, and then I normally go up about, how far have I gone up on this one? Yeah, 1/2 inch. Yeah. So look at the edge of the spine, 1/2 inch in from that side, 1/2 inch in from that side, and then go up 1/2 inch. Okay, from the bottom. And that is where I put my eyelets. Let me just check that that is 1/2 inch. That's where you punch the hole. Because by the time you've punched the hole, then added your eyelet ring, it makes it look like it's less than 1/2 inch. But yeah, I've done mine 1/2 inch. And you'll get perfect results. If you do your measuring, okay, and do the measuring at the top, you'll get them accurate. I haven't lined the inside with paper, but I lined the outside with paper. So do that first before you set your eyelets, and then don't forget to set your eyelets with the rounded smooth part on the outside and the squashing in ugly bit on the inside, and then just add your strings. I've shown you hundreds of times how to do it. Not hundreds, I'm exaggerating. I haven't shown you hundreds of times. I've shown you quite a few times how to add the strings, okay? So you can go and look on the last video, the last journal tutorial for that one. So that is how you make the cover. Super simple and easy. And then you get to have the fun part, which is decorating. Remember, whenever I decorate my paper layers, have I gone? Yeah, I've done 1/4 inch. I measure the space, okay, and then I cut my paper with a a 1/4 inch shorter. Right, so let's find a nice, so this pocket here, for example, measures 3 3/4 by 8 1/2. So I would cut my paper to 3 1/2 by 8 1/4. So then it's 1/4 inch shorter that way, 1/4 inch shorter that way. That gives me that lovely border all the way around, okay, which is 1/8 inch. Yeah, gives you 1/8 inch border, and it looks fabulous, okay. So that's all you do with your paper matting, and cut it the same throughout. Use that same process throughout, so you've got the same spacing on everything, so it looks uniform, it looks neat, and it looks tidy. Go and have some fun. I hope I've explained it well enough. Any questions, please do ask in the comments, and I'm more than happy to help you. Right, I'm going. I need a drink of tea. My throat's dry from talking too much. See you soon. Bye for now.